Yo, what up? Welcome to Sports with Ray. This is Ray, episode 13. How's everybody been? I know it's been a couple weeks. Very special day. It's election day. You know, a lot's going on. There's a lot of crazy things going on that I'm seeing on TV. It's still early though, as I'm doing this podcast. Not too much switcheroo, but a lot of the polls are just closing over 1 or 2 hours ago, or are in the process of closing, as far as like Mountain West and also Pacific. So, we'll see how that goes. Politics, I have my own thoughts, but keep it to myself because, that's not what this is about. But, anyway, welcome to Sports with Ray. You know what I'm saying? There's been a lot of things that transpired in the last couple of weeks. We first went through the NFL trade deadline, which was arguably the busiest it's been in some time, where a couple of things. You had the tight end Hawkinson from Detroit get traded in division to the Minnesota Vikings, which is kind of shocking, giving them added firepower. So now you have Adam Thielen, you got Cook as the running back. Of course, you got that boy Jefferson, and then you add Hawkinson. Gives a lot of versatility. Vikings are like 7-1, if I'm correct. They're doing real well. Kind of shocking me. I feel like I may be in the majority of a lot of people that are kind of in the wait and see process, even though they are 7-1. I mean, the Giants were 6-1, and people were kind of skeptical. Not knocking them, you just want to see what they can do. But major props to them. Another trade that went down was Bradley Chubb got traded to the Dolphins, giving them another pass rusher. They already have Phillips. They have Melvin Ingram, who's been having a good year. Wilkins can rush the passer as well as Agba, or as just Nigerians say, Agba. A little humor. And then they add Bradley Chubb, which helps them a lot. They beat my Bears. And of course, we made a trade that saddened me, but one had to happen. I mean, we already went through the process in the summertime of getting rid of Akeem Hicks. It's a new regime, so a lot of the old players had to go. We flipped Khalil Mack for a second rounder, which I'm not mad at. I knew we had to do. Even when we traded Robert Quinn, I felt like we should have traded him maybe before the season started, but we traded him a couple of weeks ago, and then we end up trading the heart and soul and the best player on our team at the time, Roquan Smith, to Baltimore. It's not a coincidence to me that the two people that held out and held in were also the two people that were traded. Quinn held out a little bit in the offseason, so did Roquan. But our GM did him a solid because they traded Quinn to an undefeated Philadelphia Eagle team that needed more pass rush. And then Roquan got traded to Baltimore, who needed a big-time playmaker to help stop the run, be able to make those type of plays. They were one of the top teams in missed tackles. So it hurt to see Roquan go, but I can say as a Bears fan, I do see the vision. In return, we did get Chase Claypool. He's a big receiver, can run out the slot, He needs to get better with his hands and everything, but he does have potential. So I do see what they're doing. Of course, we played Miami this past weekend. Game was 35-32. It was great to see. Tua back healthy with the most explosive wide receiving tandem, and Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Tua was 21 out of 30 for like 302 yards. Easy yards, too. We showed no resistance. Missing Roquan and also missing Robert Quinn. Even though he didn't get a lot of sacks this year, he had a lot of hurries and he affected the game. Those gaps were shown instantly. One thing about our team, though, we're going to fight And then the great thing is you see the progression of Justin Fields. You know, we criticize coaches all the time and organizations when they do wrong. So you have to give them their just due when they do well. After the Bears lost to Washington on that Thursday night game that they should have won, they almost like recalibrated, took a step back, assessed the situation, and started playing to his strengths. And ever since they've played to the strengths, we've averaged over 31 points a game. Justin Fields set an NFL record in the regular season for rushing yards by a quarterback with 178 yards, eclipsing Michael Vick, who had 173. Colin Kaepernick has the all-time record, which he set against Green Bay in the playoffs, which is 181. So shout out to all of them. Shout out to – and the thing about Justin Fields is, yeah, he can run. He was not a running quarterback per se at Ohio State. He was mainly pocket passer that can run. But the fact that, they figured out let's use his abilities because talent-wise we may not be the best, but that doesn't mean that we can't do certain things because we're still the Bears are number one in rushing in the NFL. And so he rushed for 178 yards. He was 17 out of 28 for 123 yards, which I know that doesn't look like a lot, but when you rush for almost 200 yards, and you're accurate because he had 3 touchdown passes. You can see the offense is coming together. He's figuring things out as opposed to a lot of times last year and also the beginning of the year where he looked horrendous and people were doubting if he was even the quarterback of the future. Now it went from, is he the quarterback of the future to, you just need to get him talent. So you just really want to build off of that. And our coach is a very good coach. He has them organized and disciplined. They just are things that are happening because of the discrepancy in talent. But when you see a team leaning toward that direction, it's only good things to happen. And what you want to really see is continued progression and also a couple more wins at the end of the season that leads into they could explode next year, sort of like how Philadelphia did. Philadelphia, they had an identity with Jalen Hurts last year. They made the playoffs. They were able to ride the wave to the playoffs. And then this year, they added more talent, more cohesiveness. They added A.J. Brown, but they also got Jordan Davis. They got Bradbury. They got Gardner Johnson. So they shored up a lot of places as well. They might arguably have the best either secondary. You could say secondary because I would say Buffalo, when healthy, maybe has the best secondary because they have 2 all-pro safeties. But Philadelphia, with those lockdown corners and big play Slay and Bradbury, and then you still have Maddox in the slot. Gardner Johnson can play the slot as well. They're not a joke, and neither is the New York Jets. I just had to give some love to them because tandem for tandem, Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed might be the best corner tandem playing right now. I don't know the most time, but they're playing the best. I went online and I was on Twitter and I saw Sauce Gardner got cooked by Stephon Diggs. He's one of the elite receivers. Like, people act as if that you won't get beat or anything like that. That doesn't not make you an elite corner. Sometimes elite corners even have bad games. But after that, wasn't a lot of things. He didn't get burnt like that. He was able to come back and have a pretty good game, had a pick, had a great breakup at the end where you can just see him being 6'3" and being able to run how he's the same size as Gabe Davis on that last play. So they fighting, maybe a littler DB, maybe Gabe can push him off and catch that pass because Josh Allen, they said he might have a UCL sprain or issues with that. He had it in 2018. Still slung the ball 70 yards, and it was on point, but he couldn't. They let them hand fight, and he couldn't fight somebody that was the same size. He tried to, but he couldn't get rid of him. That was just a testament to the great player Sauce Gardner. So shout out to the New York Jets. You know what I'm saying? Good job. So they beat Buffalo, the team that everybody feels is unbeatable. I don't, because they don't have a running game. So what happens is sometimes, it's a passing league, but you also have to be able to put the teams away. And their record over the last couple of years, I wish I would have remembered it. They have like a terrible record, games within like 5 points. So if they're not blowing teams out, they're struggling to put teams away, and that's because of the lack of the running game. And their running game is essentially Josh Allen. Not knocking them. That doesn't mean they can't win or they won't win, because every team that wins has some sort of flaw that they're able to overcome. But that's just something to watch out for later on, because everybody meets their match. And the Jets were just more physical with them. And so that was just something to see. But Buffalo's still on top of the East. AFC East at 6-2. The Jets are 6-3. Miami, who beat the Bears, are also 6-3. And Mac Jones, they won. They are 5-4. So the AFC East is shaping up to be a real competitive division, as we originally thought. That was a whirlwind for the NFL. That was some of the more exciting, just between the trade deadlines and the things that were going on. Seeing Tom Brady fight and defeat the Rams, who are a ish storm, a cluster uck. Both teams are, but Tom willed his team to victory. That was great to see. Other than that, the game was really terrible. Wasn't a lot going on. A lot of passing for not a lot of yards. A lot of QBs that are not mobile getting ransacked. So that was kind of the gist of the week, I feel. Just in the last couple of weeks, as far as things that are going on. So getting ready for the second half in the next couple of weeks. Probably see the return of a couple stars. Tre'Davious White out. Chase Young. Deshaun Watson will be coming back from Cleveland. So it's going to be interesting to see how this season shapes up. And Roquan did well in his first game with Baltimore that they won yesterday as well. And also, whenever you have Andy Dalton at quarterback, not knocking him, he's a good QB. His time has passed. And if he's going to do that, you might as well have Jameson. At least you'll have a better chance to win. You know, that's the NFL in a nutshell. I'm just going to go real quick, just kind of switching sports. Just switch over to basketball. Of course, over the last couple of weeks, it's been dominated by Steve Nash electing to go. They'll say he get fired. But on my resume, I'm going to put I quit, because I went into the office and said I quit first. I don't care what they say. But, he left that firestorm that's in Brooklyn. And then, of course, Kyrie, just when things couldn't get worse, posted a link that has been a firestorm. He had a week to talk about it and apologize for it. It's brought up a lot of questions and how people feel in the community of whether he should apologize or not. I'll keep it brief because, like I said, I have my opinions, but I'll go in depth with that on my other podcast, which is called the Wit Rei Report, which is also on this YouTube page as well. But just briefly, you can't really have something that has hateful things about a culture or a whole race in its entirety, and especially about things that happen in history that we know happen, and not have to answer for it. I mean, there's no way, that's not gonna happen like that. So I know people can deflect and say there's other situations, or what about this? Me being a black person, trust me, I understand what people are saying, but I'm saying nobody could just have something that you post that has a bunch of hate about a whole culture or race. Or you see what I'm saying? It's not, and you're a prominent figure. It's just not gonna fly. And he had the opportunity to apologize, whether he chose to or not. But the thing is, he did apologize, but he literally sent out an apology after he got suspended, after they tried to get him to do everything. If he would have done that and explained himself, I feel like he would have been good. Whatever his explanation wanted to be. Instead of that, I get the 300 years and all that, you know what I'm saying? But, And there's a lot of things I felt I kind of understood. I understand. See, there's two things that can be true. You can not agree with people in certain aspects, but you can also understand where they come from. And I feel like I kind of had an idea what he was trying to say, but he did not articulate it well. And then the link in the movie was a terrible look, which now people made it number one. So that doesn't help as well. Everybody keeps on talking about, well, Amazon, how come Amazon's not getting in trouble for it? Like, man, okay, that's a separate thing. But as far as Kyrie, because it's all about him and his career. Everybody wants somebody to take a stand, but then if they do, then they get left out to dry. Whether people agree or not with Colin Kaepernick, he took a stand for people, and he's never going to get back in the league. And then I saw people that were on his side turn to him like, he got the money and everything. Like, yeah, I mean, it's easy for people that's in the background to have an opinion of what people should do to sacrifice their whole career, but they wouldn't do it. So, but I kind of just went off on a tangent. But anyway, so he's suspended for at least 5 games. The question is if he's even gonna if he's gonna return to Brooklyn, because he has a lot of priors, whether it's indirect, whether it's intentional. He just has a lot, and so that's up to them. I said he met with Adam Silver earlier today. That's the commissioner of the NBA, and it looks like things are going the right way, but we will see. The Lakers, Brooklyn and the Lakers, man, they just kind of had the same trajectory. I don't know what's going on. I mean, the Lakers, they play tough. If Brooklyn played the defense that the Lakers played, they would probably have won the majority of their games. Well, I would say the majority of the defense, because the last couple games that the Lakers played, they haven't shown, like, they've been giving up a lot of points. But, there's some unsturdy things on both teams and both forefronts that they need to get cleared up. But I'm not going to waste time really on them. I know Ime Udoka was supposed to be rumored to be the head coach, and then there was a couple of outlets that kind of specified saying that maybe Adam Silver stepped in privately to, amongst other people, to deter the owner Joe Tsai from hiring him. That's hearsay. We're not sure. Right now, Jacques Vaughn is the interim coach. That's something that we'll continue to watch, and we'll have more updates on that. Ben Simmons, he looks like he doesn't want to play basketball, whether it's mentally or what. I know he's been fighting through injuries, but a fire that he used to have is just not showing. And, sometimes when people get $100 million, man, that fire may not be there anymore. Like, why deal with all of it? I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's how he looks. And so we'll see with that. A lot of other teams are doing well. The Utah Jazz are doing well. Lauri Markkanen is playing like the lottery pick that I thought he would play like, and then he didn't play like in Chicago. Utah's balling. Giannis is doing his thing. Luka is being Luka with a better team, so people need to watch out. So a lot of good basketball that's going on, you know what I'm saying? So everybody pay attention to it. Definitely pay attention to it. It's early in the season, so we're going to let it simmer and cook. And, one of the last things, of course, because, I love the Ohio State Buckeyes, this was a crazy week in college football. Tennessee against Georgia, which was 1 versus 3, was between the hedges in Athens, Georgia. Georgia showed why they're the national champs, and not going to lie, like people said, they look like how Alabama looked when they went on their run, when they just looked like the best team in the country. They dealt with Tennessee. It was 27-13. They really didn't allow them to score a touchdown till late. They made their point. They showed why they're the best team in the country at this point. And until somebody beats them, there's no discussion. Tennessee, I mean, ain't nothing wrong. You lost to the national champs. I mean, they physically whooped y'all. I mean, that's something that you can't identify with, But you played the number 1 team in the nation. Things happen. My beloved Buckeyes played in I don't know how I wanted to say something really immaculate, but actually They just played in terrible weather. It was wind gusts 30 or 40 to 50 miles, between 30 and 50 miles an hour. And then there was rain that came. It was terrible football. But they still play flat. They looked as if they played a 1-7 team in Northwestern, and then they finally were able to pull it up. They literally couldn't throw the ball at first when they played and won. I'm happy that they got the win, though. I'm happy. The thing is, people are the overreaction about things as if every team has to play perfect or else there's a sense of unsatisfaction or non-satisfaction. Like, you expect these kids to be perfect, but on the road to being great, you have to go through these things. You have to be able to win in different and adverse situations when it's not in your favor. That's what the thing with the Buckeyes is. It's a toughness issue from a physical and mental standpoint. That's the question at hand. It's because O State, when everything is rolling, one of the most explosive offenses, they got the receiving core, the running backs, and everything. But some of the same issues are still coming up as the line of scrimmage, not being able to get third and shorts. A team like Michigan they're perfectly built as that's Jim. That's it, John. John Harbaugh is the coach of Buffalo. That's his older brother. Jim Harbaugh's style is that physical, rough, and tough game as far as the line of scrimmages on both sides, defensive line and offensive line. Like, their identity is they're going to beat you up and win the game. And that's Ohio State's kryptonite because we're more of a finesse team. The thing is, we need to have more of a balance, because, when things are going good, we can run away with it, But the thing is when you play a team like that, what if it doesn't go that way? And it's a rivalry, and they finally beat the Buckeyes, so they have a belief that they haven't had in a while. They're not afraid of them. They feel it as if, matter of fact, why are they the favorites? We just beat them, and we went to the playoffs. So they're looking at Ohio State like that. And seeing some of the flaws that Ohio State has between short yardage, the offensive line at times still not getting that push that I see Michigan get when they have their running backs. You see what I'm saying? Because if you look, they have two of the better running backs in the country. We have two of the better running backs. So when they need a first down, they get the first down. Not to say that it may not happen sometimes, but I'm just saying that's the difference. It's going to be 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. You can have 11 people in the box. They're going to run and they're going to get it. That's what Ohio State needs to do as far as to get past them. Also, if you want to play a Georgia or LSU, one of the SEC, you have to be able to do so because the game is always going to be won in the trenches as well as the speedy and the talented, like as far as the wide receivers, the running backs and everything. We get that as well. So the way Ohio State's had to win a lot of times this year hasn't been pretty. We have, in my opinion, the best wide receiver in the country, who has a hamstring injury that maybe has played one game total in Jackson and Jigba. You feel what I'm saying? My fault. Jackson Smith and Jigba, same guy. But you want to say people's names properly. Put some respect on his name. You see what I'm saying? He hasn't played all year. But what ended up happening is arguably the best receiver in the country now is Marvin Harrison. When you need a play, Marvin is 6'4", 205, and can run as fast as everybody and has great hands. Both feet always land in bounds, toe tapping, everything. He's a go-to receiver. Of course, we know his father is the great Marvin Harrison Sr. So that kind of emerged. So the way the Buckeyes have been winning, JSN not available, a couple injuries there, having to develop Abuka, Harrison, Fleming coming back from injury. Then Mayan Harrison, the running back, being injured. Then Mayan Williams being injured. Then Travion Henderson. So they've been kind of banged up and have had to figure it out the whole way, of having to win in different styles, not being comfortable, having some adversity. Even though the score may look lopsided at the end when they get their act together, they're having to win in different ways. So when you get into that adverse situation, That could be whether it's against Michigan. If you beat Michigan, you go to the Big Ten championship. You win the Big Ten championship. You go to the college playoff. You win the first round of the college playoff. You go to the championship for the title. All of those situations, you'll have experience in it, so you'll be able to, go into your mental bank and be like, okay, so we went through this. We know we can get through this, because a lot of things are mental, and you got to be able to understand that. So I like what they're doing. Defensively, we just needed to improve a little bit. We've improved a lot. I do know the weakness are our cornerbacks, and we could be in trouble. It's not too many explosive teams that I think really just give me cause to pause. I mean, Tennessee's explosive. I get that. Georgia, in their own way, is explosive. The way they use the tight end sets, they use about 2 to 3 tight ends, and they have the best tight end in the country. And Bowers, I know Mayer in Notre Dame is up there as well. But the way they use him, so they have different sets, so I get that. But as far as just exposing the corners, it would have to be like a USC or maybe an Oregon. And even with that, I mean, as far as showing the weakness, not saying they can't be exposed, but that's the glaring weakness. Jim Knowles has his imprint on this defense. They were obviously not in the right positions last year. They're in better positions now where they're able just to read and react instead of reacting. And by the time they started to react, all of a sudden, the ball is 9 or 10 yards down the field, and they're able to run the same plays. So there was a lot of difficulties that, not that he's cleared up, but he's put them in the right position. So that's good to see. They're in top 10 in a lot of areas, top 5 in yards in the country. It's trending. It's trending in the right direction, but at the same time, now you're in November. This is the championship before the championship season. Pressure bust pipes November. So it's going to be real interesting to see how things kind of go forward. I'm just really ecstatic just to see how everything is going to come out. We'll definitely, I'll tap in with everybody and just check in, give my take. I'll be on here more comments, because this is the best time of the year. I also congratulate to the Houston Astros and Dusty Baker. He took that job after they were shamed, basically punished for cheating. And Dusty took that team and had them in the World Series the last 2 years. So kudos to Houston. They deserve it. They're looking like a different kind of dynasty in baseball. There's a lot of great things. So you had baseball, college basketball starting. I'm a Carolina Tar Heel fan. Y'all know how it is. We lost dramatic fashion last year, but just like I was talking to my homeboy Bob, usually when we lose in dramatic fashion, he informed me, we usually come back and win the title the next year. So sometimes you got to go through that heartbreak in order to get that ultimate success. So, time went back an hour. It's now dark at 12 o'clock, just like Transylvania, in the middle of a, never mind, I was going to say some crazy stuff. But I definitely want to just thank everybody, Thank you for tapping in. Thank you for listening to me. Questions and comments or concerns, you can definitely hit me up. My social media handles, Instagram is ReiRobb97, ReiRobb 97. That's also my Twitter and my Snapchatting. Facebook is Raymond, Reimen. Definitely be sure, take a look out. Got my information on Linktree, and we'll keep this coming. I just want to, once again, thank you for checking out Sports with Ray, episode 13. Everybody have a great week. Till the next time. Yep.